So people that are dehydrated, that can be a contributing factor to diabetes. Our brain cells shrink when they don't have enough water. Headaches are common when we don't have enough water. Negative thought patterns can develop when our brain cells don't have enough water. And so one of the signs of dehydration can be constricted breathing. The blood gets very thick in dehydration. Our blood needs to be nice and thin so the heart can pump it easily, so that the little filtering units in our kidneys can filter it with ease. So water is needed for every single body function. Hi, I'm Barbara O'Neill. In this video I will delve into the health risks associated with dehydration, provide you with simple steps to prevent dehydration, and I will also share case studies that demonstrate the wonderful effects that water can have on your health. Let's get started. Water, the second most vital element needed for life. So the number one vital element needed for life is oxygen. And that's not a surprise, is it? The second most vital element needed for life is water. I always say to people, how much water do you drink? And these are some of the answers. I don't like water. If I drink water, my feet swell. If I drink water, I'm going to the bathroom all day. Those last two answers tell me that the water's not getting inside the cell. So how do we get the water inside the cell? Water gets into the cell primarily through the sodium-potassium pumps in the cell membrane. These pumps balance sodium outside the cell and potassium inside the cell. Additionally, magnesium, especially from sources like Celtic salt, helps attract water into the cell. Magnesium, being water hungry, aids in hydrating cells by facilitating water transport through the membrane. I've had people complain to me, they say, I'm drinking more water now I'm going to the bathroom all day. So I say, are you having the salt? Have a little crystal before every glass of water. And ideally we should be having approximately 8 glasses of water a day. And then I say to them, and don't drink a whole glass at once. I think I mentioned earlier, I drink half a glass as soon as I get up. I go to the bathroom, I drink another half glass. Then I get dressed and have another half glass. But when I start every glass, I have that little bit of salt. So you spread the water over the day. When the magnesium's put on the tongue and you have the glass of water, or half a glass, a little bit later the other half glass, that magnesium pulls the water inside the cell. And in the bilaid membrane that is around every cell, there's a little motor. And when the water's pulled through the membrane and into the cell, it causes that little motor to start spinning. And the spinning of that motor gives us a unit of energy. So when you're feeling a little tired or maybe a little bit peckish mid-morning, have the salt and have the water and you'll get a little bit of a pickup. So when everyone's going outside to have their cigarette or their cup of coffee, you have your crystal of salt, your glass of water. And I'd like to take you inside and look at a few body functions and how they're affected by dehydration. So let's begin at the mouth. Did you know that in a state of chronic dehydration, too much saliva is produced? Some people think a dry mouth is a sign of dehydration. It is, and too much saliva can be a sign of dehydration. You see, when not enough water is going into the body, and how much water should go in? Let's do an assessment of that. So our kidneys, to know how much water should go in, we need to look at how much is coming out. So in our kidneys, we urinate out 1.5 litre loss. Now, a litre is the same as a quart. So I'm probably best, because I'm speaking to an American audience, to say quart loss, 1.5 quart loss. Out of the skin, it can be 0.5 of a quart loss. Out of the colon, 0.3 of a quart loss, and out of the lungs it's about a 0.2 of a quart loss. So that equals 2.5 quart loss every day. So 2 quarts is 8 cups. So that's 10 glasses, 8 ounce glasses of water a day is lost out of the body. And we have no reserve tank on the back, do we? The only water that's going in is the water we take in. So we should be drinking at least 2 quarts a day. The other half can come in your fruits and your vegetables, maybe your herb teas, vegetable juice through the day. So that's how much water we need. One lady said to me, I drink quite a lot of water in my cups of tea. Sorry, that doesn't do it, because tea contains dehydrating agents. Caffeine and tannin are both quite strong dehydrating agents. And if she puts a little teaspoon of sugar in that, there's another dehydrating agent in there. We had a pathologist do our program. He said, we've done studies on caffeine, and we have found that you need 5 cups of water to make up for the dehydrating agents in 1 cup of coffee. Now that was a cup of coffee that also had sugar in it as well. So not only are people not drinking enough water, but they are also causing dehydration because of the drinks that they are having. And Dr. Batman Geheldi, he showed that the first place that we feel that water loss, if we're not replacing the water, the body goes into a form of drought management. And it releases a hormone to manage this drought management. It's called histamine. And if someone has an allergic response to something, what are they given? Antihistamines. You know the best antihistamine is just water. So the first place that water is taken from to try and maintain full blood volume in the veins and arteries is the lining of the stomach. We have a thick mucosal wall lining the stomach, and so now we've got a very thin mucosal wall. Now in that mucosal wall there's sodium bicarbonate, and the sodium bicarbonate is in the mucosal wall to neutralize any stomach acid that might try and get through, and basically protect against stomach ulcers. So what is a stomach ulcer? It's basically a breakdown of the tissues. I want to further explore the benefits of drinking water and drinking it at the right time by sharing a success story of a man that visited one of our retreats. At the end of the week, I had a very happy man in front of me. He was eager to tell me something. I said, yes. He said, I've had no stomach for 2 days, first time in 25 years. I said, that's good news. And he said, and I've worked out the problem. To me, that was even better news. Because who's the doctor? We are. We are. I said, what was the problem? He said, I was drinking nothing between meals, and I was drinking almost a whole litre of water with every meal. So I want to show you what was happening in his gut. So what was happening in his gut, he's drinking nothing between meals, which means the lining to his gut is very thin, which means the hydrochloric acid is breaking down the tissues. What this man discovered is that he was drinking water at the wrong time. So now he drank early in the morning. He stopped drinking half an hour before his meal. That half an hour before the meal immediately thickened that mucosal wall. The water he had the day before fed the hydrochloric acid that's made in the liver. So let's have a look at what's happening now. Now being at the health retreat, he's drinking water at the right time between meals. His mucosal wall is getting thick. And then when he eats his meal, hydrochloric acid, which is not being watered down anymore, comes down and wipes out Helicobacter pylori. What a wonderful process. Who healed him? His body healed itself when given the right conditions. So this man who'd had stomach pain for 25 years found relief by just drinking water at the right time, which allowed his body to heal itself. Dr. Batman Geheldhind, we'll call him Dr. B, he found the first place that we lose water is the lining of the gastrointestinal tract. He also found that if you go down the gastrointestinal tract, you come to the pancreas. And the pancreas releases two hormones into the blood to help balance blood sugar levels. That's your insulin and your glucagon. But if you're dehydrated, those hormones aren't being made as they should be. So people that are dehydrated, that can be a contributing factor to diabetes. He also discovered that there are hormones released from the pancreas to finalise digestion. So there's pancreatic lipase to finalise starch digestion. Sorry, fat digestion. There's pancreatic amylase. That's what finalises starch digestion. There's trypsin and chymotrypsin that finalise protein digestion. Now, they're all made out of water. If you don't have enough water, your digestion will be compromised. At every stage, water is needed for every body function. So no wonder Dr. Beat entitled his book, When a Person Has a Symptom of Disease, he says, must be one of the body's many cries for water. That's the title of his book. Our brain cells shrink when they don't have enough water. Headaches are common when we don't have enough water. Negative thought patterns can develop when our brain cells don't have enough water. I can get my hand to go in and out like that without pain because around every joint there's fluid. And that fluid is synovial fluid, and it is 99% water. In a state of dehydration, the body can take some water from there to maintain full blood volume in the major arteries and veins. And so if I have pain in there, maybe it's called arthritis, but actually maybe it's just a state of dehydration. Our eyeball moves around in water. So we need water at every single step. But what also happens, the body, to prevent the water loss, it can start constricting the little bronchioles so that we don't lose water. And so one of the signs of dehydration can be constricted breathing. The blood gets very thick in dehydration. Our blood needs to be nice and thin so the heart can pump it easily, so that the little filtering units in our kidneys can filter it with ease. So water is needed for every single body function. I'm going to give you a story of a man that came to our retreat who had three main problems. He had chronic headaches, which he took a lot of painkillers for. He had a very congested chest, and also he had terrible lower back pain. Did you know that 75% of weight held in your lower back is held by water? The other percentage, of course, is taken with your ligaments, your muscles. And so a state of dehydration, lower back pain is quite common. So that's what this man had. And when I was consulting with him, I said to him, how much water do you drink a day? He said, oh, I don't drink water. I said, you don't drink water? I said, what do you drink? He said, oh, Coca-Cola, coffee, because he has a lot of painkillers. He was only 44. He was a well-built man, but at 44, his quality of life had gone. So we encouraged him to start drinking more water. By the end of the week, the headache had gone. By the end of the week, the lower back pain had certainly eased and his lungs were a little freer. I saw him 5 weeks later. He jumped out of the car with a big smile on his face and had a 2-litre, you'd say 2-quart bottle of water. He said, I'm drinking 4 litres a day. He said, in 5 weeks I've had no headaches, no lower back pain, and he said my chest is almost clear. What was his problem? It was dehydration. How nice when it's as simple as that. It's not always that simple, but it's nice when it is that simple. So How do you know if you're drinking enough water? One of the signs that you're drinking adequate water is that your urine is clear. So when your urine is clear, that's a fairly good sign that you're drinking enough water. And many people in aged care facilities, elderly people, they do not drink enough water. And it certainly is a contributing factor to the mental illness and the deterioration in brains we're seeing. We're getting people today who are showing signs of dementia and Alzheimer's in their 40s and in their 50s, and this should not be. And it's often not just one point, often it's several points, but one is certainly dehydration. So I'll give you a story to illustrate. We had a lady came and did our program a few years ago now. It's probably about 6 years ago now. She was 45 and she brought her mother who had dementia. So we always say if someone has Alzheimer's or dementia, they will need to have a carer with them. Because we're not a hospital, we just teach you how to give your body the conditions for healing. When the mother first arrived, so the mother was probably early 70s, I went into the bedroom and she was just standing there looking out the window. And she looked at me, she didn't seem to even know who I was or acknowledge me. So I talked to the mother, and, well, I couldn't say much to the mother, but I talked to the daughter and I found out she hadn't drunk any water for 2 days. And because she had dementia, her daughter would ask her and she'd say, "Oh yes, I've drunk lots of water," but she actually wasn't drinking any. And she hadn't been to the bathroom for 3 days. I'm talking about her bowels. So they're two things that we can fix pretty good. So we gave her herbs to get the bowels moving, and we just got her to drink little bits of water. See, a lot of elderly people are put off water because they don't want to have an accident. But if you can explain to them, just have a mouthful at a time. That's reachable. Just have a mouthful at a time. If you have a mouthful of water every couple of minutes, you'll be surprised how much water you can get into the body in a day. So just have lots of little bits. Within 24 hours, this lady had no dementia. She was lucid, she was talking to people, sitting and dialoguing, and the daughter looked at her and she hadn't seen her mother like this for a long time. Thank you for joining me today. Let's recap the key takeaways. Drink at least 8 to 10 glasses of water daily, spread throughout the day, and include a pinch of Celtic salt to improve absorption. Avoid dehydrating drinks like coffee and tea, and drink water at the right times, especially between meals. Hydration can improve digestion, prevent headaches, and even support joint and respiratory health. If you found this video helpful, please share it with friends or family who might benefit from these tips. Your support helps spread awareness and makes a difference.